Okay. Let's keep that right there. Basic. Should be streaming soon. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome everybody on the Facebook Live. Welcome on the YouTube Live. My name is Amma Nancy. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I hope that everything is okay. I'm actually streaming from my, using my phone as a hotspot, so I hope it's not like terribly slow or anything like that. One of my kids, I'm so excited and proud of her, is starting her own business. Makeup business, and so of course I'm here to support her. Everybody knows me, I love makeup, but at the same time, she's my kid. I'm super proud of her, love her to death. So of course I am here for the makeup party. But anyway, so this evening, so my name is Amma Nancy. I go by AmmaTheCPA, and literally it doesn't matter what type of business you're in. You can be in any type of business. I'm here to support you. Okay, it's not important to me what you do with or what you do or how you do it. It's just important to me that you actually make a life, right? So many of us, we go through life and we just kind of get caught up in the rat race, right? So I don't care how you make a living. I just want to make sure that you make a life. So good evening, Millionaire. Good evening, Millionaire. Welcome to our edition of Good Evening, Millionaire. What I want to talk about today is what did I say? Hey, and thank you for the shares. Thank you so much for the shares. And please do me a favor and post in the comments like where you are logging in from. That would be great. And say good evening to the fellow millionaires. So post where you're calling in from, and you know, where you're calling in from, and give me a share. Okay, so what I want to go over tonight is 5 ways that you are accidentally messing up your credit, right? A lot of times we don't know what makes up our credit score. We don't know how we got a horrible credit score. We don't know how to make it better, right? And so we just kind of do things. Again, we get caught up in the day-to-day. We get so caught up in life where we don't really know what's going on, and we just have to make it, right? We just have to make it. So please, if you guys are ready, give me a number 1 and a share. Please give me a number 1 and a share. We're going to go ahead and get started. So the first tip, the first way that you are accidentally messing up your credit is not paying attention to your credit balances. So a lot of times it's almost like a trap, right? And I like to say that about a lot of things, but it's really true. Like if I say it, it's true, right? It's really a trap, because if you pay off your, let's say you are constantly making monthly payments, you know, you're making your monthly payments every single month and stuff like that. A lot of times what your credit card company will do is increase your limit. So you can be this close to your limit and then they'll increase it. And so then you just max that out or get close to maxing that out. And then they'll increase it again, right? As long as you're making those consistent monthly payments. So one of the things that you are doing that is accidentally messing up your credit is not checking your credit balances. So what you want to do is make sure, some of you guys probably heard of like a utilization ratio, and that is how much that's how much you are actually using of your allotted credit. So you want to make sure that your utilization ratio is 30%, right? Which means that you're using 30% of your allowed credit, okay? You don't want to use any more than that. So you want to constantly monitor your balances to make sure that you're using around 30% of your allowed credit. So if you are ready for the second one, please give me a number 2 and a share. Give me a number 2 and a share. Even if you're watching the replay, the shares are always helpful because they can help other people learn from these tips as well. Okay, so welcome to the replay and still give me a share. Good evening, millionaire. So number two is closing accounts. So give me a number 2 and a share. When you close accounts, a lot of times people may think that, you know, you don't want to use the outstanding balance. Like, okay, maybe you paid something off, and so you're like, okay, I paid this off and I'm gonna just close this account because I don't want to mess myself up anymore. Now, it makes sense to not use it anymore, but it does not make sense for you to close that account, because then what happens is, how we just talked about with the utilization ratio, what happens is now that lowers your percentage, right? So now let's say that credit card was $1,000, and let's say you have 2 credit cards for $1,000, and you have one that's about like $600. Okay, so $600, now you're right at that 30% because that's the 30% of the 2,000, right? But let's say you go ahead and you close one credit card, right? Now you are way over the utilization ratio. So you want to not close a credit card. If you don't want to use it, just don't use it, right? But don't, and like I think I mentioned before, you know, you can do different things like freeze it. You can do different things like give it to other people, you know, give it to your mom that won't use it, give it to your dad that won't use it, stuff like that. But you don't want to close out the account, because that definitely affects your utilization ratio and that can mess you up. So if you're just joining us, we're going over the 5 ways that you can accidentally mess up your credit. Good evening, millionaire. So number 3, give me a number 3 and a share. Please give me a number 3 and a share. Number 3 is co-signing on loans. Oh, okay. This is a big one, because a lot of times, especially in a lot of families, like you may be the person in your family that has pretty decent credit. You may be the person that can get different stuff, but you don't want to co-sign for anybody, because what people don't realize is that when you co-sign a loan for somebody, that's actually your loan. That's actually your debt. So it may not show up on your credit right away, but what will happen is, if that person defaults, it's definitely showing up. And it depends on the company and stuff like that as to when it actually shows up. But it will definitely show up. When they default, it's on there. Okay, so you want to make sure that by all possible costs, you do not want to co-sign for anybody else, because that can really mess you up. And a lot of times people will do it because you think that, you know, I'm just helping this person out. What's the big deal? I'm helping them out. But the big deal is that it's actually going on your credit too. So you don't want to co-sign for anybody else. And I hope that that is helpful. And please, if you are just joining us, welcome. And we're going over the 5 ways that you are accidentally messing up your credit. So welcome, and welcome to the replay, and give me a share. Okay, so number 4 is applying for too many lines of credit. Now, this is specifically for people that have good credit, because you can mess around and mess your credit up way quicker than you think. So let's say you have relatively good credit, right? And what happens is, all these credit card companies keep sending you stuff in the mail. They keep sending you stuff in the mail because they just run a report of credit, you know, like who has higher credit or whatever. They can run a report for like different listings, and then they'll just take it from there. I'm right by a train, if you guys heard that. Chicago, right? But anyway, so what they'll do is they can see that you have like a high credit, and they'll send you different things in the mail, different companies, because remember that the credit card companies, they want you to use their credit card because that's how they get money from the interest payments and stuff like that. They're just a in between, like they definitely want your money. Okay, so what you want to do is do not apply for every single credit card. Now, sometimes people may apply and feel like, oh my God, people are just offering me all this credit. I'm getting all this credit. I'm going to get it. You know, oh, this one has the miles over here. I'm going to use this one for the mileage. I'm going to use this one for the 0%. I'm going to use this one for the cash back, right? I'm going to use this one for the Costco discounts or whatever, or this one for the gas, okay? But what's happening is that makes you look desperate to your creditors, and credit inquiries will account for about 10% of your credit number, your credit score, your credit number, your credit score, right? So inquiries account for about 10%. So you want to make sure that you are not constantly applying and applying and applying to different stuff just because they are sending it to you. So don't apply for every single thing. You know, you definitely want to pick and choose which ones are beneficial for you, and just, you know, you don't even have to open them to see which one is the best and stuff like that. After you have maybe like 2 or 3, then that should be it. You don't have to keep applying for all these credit cards just because they give it to you, because like I said, it's a trap. Okay, it's definitely a trap. And number 5, last and definitely not least, and please give me a share on the Facebook Live. Number 5 is not monitoring your credit score at all. So again, this is the 5 ways that you are accidentally messing up your credit. So let's say you don't monitor your credit at all, and somebody else, you know, God forbid, steals your identity. Now they are doing whatever and you have no idea. And even if it's not as bad as identity theft, sometimes these creditors, what they'll do is they'll go and they will charge, let's say, okay, so they are tired of you not paying or something like that, right? So what they'll do, or they just want to clean up their books. They want to clean up their books. So from an accounting perspective, and this, just to give you guys a little bit of background, from an accounting perspective, every year, companies have to account for an amount that they know they will not get. So if they loan out, you know, 100%, based on their history, they will have to account for only 80% of that or 70% of that. And it's just in case people don't pay, because that's just human nature. So you can't go ahead and record the entire $100,000 on your income statement, right? So what you have to do is you have to have an allowance for bad debts. So with this allowance for bad debts, let's say every year they account for 20%, right? And say, okay, we expect not to receive 20%. So then after that year, now they have to do it all over again. They have to do it like every single year. So after that year, if they have collected about 85 or 90%, after a while, they'll keep doing that, but they still have to set up that account for bad allowances that they are expected not to collect. They still have to set that up at that 20%, right? So then what they'll do eventually is they will sell it. Okay, so I said all that just to give you guys some background story. So what they do is they sell it to other creditors. They sell it to collection agencies. So now out of nowhere, you have somebody calling you all extra strong and, you know, extra persistent and extra blowing up your phone. And, you know, and they act like it's their money, and they say that they're calling on behalf of Macy's and blah, blah, blah. Macy's probably sold your account to them 2 years ago, right? And so then they sold it to them for like pennies on the dollar. But now this is how the creditors, the collection companies make their money, because they buy it for pennies on the dollar. Now they try to collect the whole balance. So that's why a lot of times they can negotiate with you and say, okay, well, how much can you pay? If you could pay this, then we can get rid of it altogether. So with all that being said, number 5 is you want to make sure that you monitor your credit score, because what happens is you don't monitor it, and out of nowhere, here comes this Macy's bill that you completely forgot about because maybe you thought you paid the whole thing off. You haven't heard from Macy's because they didn't care, right? Because they're Macy's. They didn't care. They already wrote it off for their bad expense allowances. They already wrote that off and accounted for it on their tax return and everything. Then they sold it. So like I said, Macy's doesn't care. Now they sell it to somebody else, and now it's 3 years later and it's showing up on your credit report, and just like that, your credit goes down like 25 to 30 points. So you want to make sure that you are constantly monitoring your credit score to make sure that if anything is going on, you can catch it in a timely fashion. And so that just about does it for me for this edition of Good Evening Millionaire. I will definitely be here tomorrow. Check out the flyer. I did post it on my page with a complete lineup for the week. So again, my name is Amma the CPA, and I'm just reminding you guys, you can run any type of business, okay? And I'm still here to help you. I don't care. Oh, excuse me. I don't care how you make a living. I don't care how you make a living. It's just important to me that you make a life. So good evening, millionaire, and I will talk to you guys soon.